Hello, and good morning. Alright, so this is attempt, like 5 or so at this thing, so we're gonna see how it goes. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and jump straight into it without much explanation. Basically, this is FFTA2 Redesigned. We will get into the explanation on this, hopefully as soon as we actually manage to get past this first part. Alright, so, summer vacation, that's all dandy. I don't know if this stuff, I don't know if these starter questions actually change your character, but I feel like they do. So first things first, potato. Now this is one of my all-time favorites, basically one of 7 games that I would end up having my kid try out down the line. Yeah, we're gonna get into more of that later. Essentially, this is, the sequel to FFTA. Not a whole lot of surprise there. But, to explain this intro, basically in FFTA, they had gotten this book. It's just some kids hanging around. They pick up this book and pretty much get shoved into a parallel universe. And then it turns out, yeah, stuff is pretty darn sweet over there. And the main character, being some sort of friggin' world-class intellect, decides, you know what? Friggin' everything being easy and amazing and awesome must suck. So, I think we're gonna go ahead and just destroy the universe. So they basically spend the entire game trying to disassemble this amazing new world they find themselves in. Functionally, the best way I can describe it, because both of these two give me a similar feeling to it, but like when you were a kid reading the Harry Potter books for the first time, like that is how I'd describe the alternate universe of these games. Like, you just found out you've got all these friggin' powers and everything, found out there's all this cool crap that you can do, and yeah, he just basically decides, no, that's for nerds, this isn't real, I want to go back to my boring place, and then they go back and have a snowball fight. And that is the end of the game. Also, little doodles at the very start there, you pretty much get you get 2/3 of your main characters here. First off, I want to say on the left, that has to be Ritz's kid. Like, it just has to be. I think it's possible that this teacher is, I know that the librarian is the kind of main, not exactly bad guy, per se, but just general antagonist of FFTA. Not that he really wants to be, but it's just more of a thing of he's the one reasonable person there who thinks, hey, this is actually kind of awesome. Maybe we should stay in this alternate universe because it's really freaking sweet here. Man, everything about the design of these two, especially this one. Like, you don't see it here. Basically, I'm only recording the bottom screen because this is a DS game. But yeah, the top screen always gives you kind of this, it's just kind of there for flavor, more or less. Like right now, it has some pens and an inkwell and some paper. Because for some reason, they're still writing with fountain pens, apparently. But, well, it seems like a relatively modern setting. Literally, this only happens because he feels like writing in a book. Here's potato. And so it goes. Such is life. Yeah, they waste no time getting straight into it here. And sucked into a place with giant mushrooms. So yeah, perhaps not his teacher, The resemblance is uncanny, you kinda can't blame them for thinking so, but of course. And, like any good immersive game, they basically do a pretty good job right here of just explaining the life and death mechanics right off the bat. You can be knocked out, but you can't be killed as long as you're a member of their kind of organization here. So as long as they're government approved, they can't die. That's a pretty sweet dystopia to live in, actually. Though you'd think then they'd have a rampant insanity problem when people couldn't actually handle that type of reality. And then he turns him, like, comically French for some reason. Oh, got a beret. Kinda sweet. So, here's the shtick. There is a bit of a problem with the rebalance right off the bat. I again should clarify, this is a mod that was kind of abandoned a little while ago. It was started and worked on for a pretty lengthy amount of time from 2015 to 2016, but by now the thing's basically been, it's been left behind. He didn't get in a lot of the stuff he wanted to, because this is a very frighteningly long project. Like, it's basically he was intending to go in and rebalance some of the fights and stuff, but it's 300 plus different friggin' fights. So, bit of a scary beast. Alright. So she goes on talking and talking and talking for a bit about how you should go take your turns and play the strategy game. That's what we're doing. Now, one thing with this rebalance, like I was saying, there was a bit of a problem. Never give your back to anyone. A lot of the damage and everything else has been scaled to a percentage, and in some cases it's kind of scaled in weird ways. So for example with this one, in most cases, if you get hit in the back, you're pretty much just dead. There's no revives, those have been completely removed. Alright, so he's gonna go up and cast. Right here should be his farthest. Why he's not able to, I don't know. We'll try it again. Man, this music is one of the reasons that this is like really way up there as far as being one of my favorites. Music is just so good. So he explains MP costs. And this guy explains how guest characters work. It's pretty much the same as you'd expect. Pretty much, if you've played FFT, if you've played FFTA, both of those are going to give you a pretty solid idea of how stuff works in this. And with the mod, it's closer to like FFTA 1.3, or FFT 1.3. That sort of thing. Alright, so now what we're going to do is move this guy over here. Because for some reason you cannot approach the chicken on the right side. No idea why. Now, this giant chicken only needs to be brought down to half health to win the fight. Unfortunately, that is a little bit more difficult than you'd think. I've actually gone and redone this thing several times on account of that chicken just basically completely... It wasn't so much a loss as a pretty thorough rectal examination. So, anyway. So he's probably going to use territorial marking on Luso and this guy right here, and or Peck. Either or is going to work. Okay, let's try to avoid that scenario altogether. If I move them over here, hopefully only one of them takes damage. If any of them gets a crit, then we're pretty much golden. So right here, I can't give his back at all. And I can't have this guy move at all. Then we're going to have problems. So hopefully, should be winning it pretty soon here. Just quick and effective, that's the only way you want to play it. Now, I don't know if it's half health or if it's just getting him under 100. It might be the latter. Because, actually come to think of it, he might actually have to be beaten. When I was looking through, It had said that the only difference between hard mode and this one, and oh my god, you idiot, you just got them both. And Sid, really? You just pulled the worst possible location you ever could have pulled? Oh well. Hopefully can heal him back up. Let him at least survive one more hit. So I think he has to be reduced to critical on hard mode, whereas he would only have had to be reduced to half health otherwise. Getting pretty fast turns on him anyway. Alright. So he's under 100, we'll see if that's the threshold. Yeah, there we go. He's out. Because it was definitely half health on normal when I went back and tried it again. There we go. Didn't get any loot off it. But you do get a bit of extra equipment or items or whatever else for following the rules. It's actually cool because the first law that you encounter there, the no ranged weapons, they basically just tell you right off the bat. You know, like, here's all this cool stuff that you can potentially find. And this guy's hungry. Har har har, he's a friggin' jerpage protagonist. He needs to eat food all the time. Hardy har har, that's never overused. It's fine. So we got this screen. Basically, at the end of a successful thing, you get your ability points, which you don't really spend them towards stuff. Your equipment spends it towards stuff. And yeah, we get some visual glitches, because of course, that's the one problem with no cache. Weird visual glitches every now and then. Alright, the controls are all shifted around here, so there we go. And there we are. Let's just go ahead and get this going. So you go here and meet all of your party members. You have a bit of a better party, if you ask me, in A2 as compared to just FFTA. In FFTA, you started with a monk, a soldier, a healer for the Namao, and then I think it was an archer for your rabbit lady, and then your Moogle was a mage, which didn't exactly work, just because they pretty much all got the stuff that they didn't need. So your damage offensive class was essentially assigned to the trickster character. Your healer got the big damage bonuses that it didn't end up using. It was alright having an archer as the rabbit lady. The monk was noticeably weaker than a warrior, for example. Got a few different kind of generic fighter classes at the start. Like soldiers are the human variant, they're more based around healing and other stuff. Alright. Wow, why is this lagging so much? Let's say coffee tato. Actually, we're got one letter too much here. I don't know why this screen in particular lags. That's very odd. That'll do. The fun of emulators, you know? But alright. So, now that we actually got past the intro, which again, thankfully RNG kinda worked out on that one, only had one bad instance of it. All previous cases, he had gone and used territorial marking on somebody, or the little chickens got crits, or something. Like, Luso got friggin' insta-crit 2 of those times, Sid got killed off by the giant chicken. Okay. Go check this out. This doesn't appear to be lagging, so that's good. And let's see what the party menu is looking like. So now this is what you start off with. These guys are just randos. They'll end up changing every time. They don't show you guest characters, I don't believe. I'm just going to leave them as their starting class. The main one that needed to be changed was this guy. And this is why I was saying that I preferred this setup. Because if you go through all of them, alright? Like when you go to their equipment... let's see, will it show it here? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out exactly how the controls are going to go here. Well, let's start with this. First things first, get a job. But no, in FFTA, you had to, if you wanted your guys to learn skills, you had to replace some of their equipment right off the bat. So for example, in this one, they make it a little tutorial to replace the weapon, replace Luso's weapon with one that teaches first aid. And what I was trying to check there is if it's the same one that the warrior there starts with. Yeah, so this mod rebalances all of the abilities, all of the items. I appreciate the movie puns in this. But yeah, rebalances absolutely everything. Rebalances the classes, adds some new ones, adds new abilities, and just in general adds a lot of cooler stuff. Now, side and back damage has always been increased in this one, however it gets really taken to the extreme with how high some of the damages go in this. So yeah, you can be pretty much one-shotted by back attacks. It looks like he finished off a lot of the rebalancing and stuff like that before abandoning the mod. So again, we seem to be having issues with glitches. Alright, so let's go to the shop, see the bizarre tutorial. Alright, weather selection isn't very good, that's fine. We try to leave. And they see that you have loot. They're like, come check out our sweet crafting feature. So this is one of the things that makes me wonder how they got crafting so strangely wrong in the Lucked remake. Like base game anyway. Because pretty much you have the system here. You basically you have a list of stuff you can make. You have a rough idea of what it's going to turn into, and then essentially you trade those items in order to have it added to the store. It's a cool way of doing it. You know, you get your crafting items once, and some of the rarer ones you only get one of. Some of them, you know, you get multiples of. Like, for example, your trash tier equipment, no one wants to go and just make a billion of them, so you basically get one of them, and you're good to go. We're going to pick up two of these. Now, I don't know if there's already a broadsword in this other guy, but that's what we'll check. I just love the crafting system. It's simple, it gets the job done. Great. Now, are you starting off with a broad or a short? Okay, you already have a broad. Never mind. It's this guy that starts off with a friggin' short. Now, like I was saying, it's pretty much like FFT. But they're going to go into an explanation on everything. We have your reaction, your passive, and two active moves. So your actives are just your two different class abilities and all that. So he starts off with war arts and items. Reaction would be like a counter or strike back or something. Although a lot of reaction abilities have been changed or nerfed. So stuff like strike back and dual wield are only available to the computer, as far as I'm aware. That might have actually changed. There's no changelog that's actually posted for this thing. It seems like he was mentioning different changes and rebalances and stuff like that, and mentioned a few ideas, but it's unclear how many of those ideas he actually got to. One thing I will say that the base game is kind of hilarious in terms of the utter nonsense you can pull. Like, right off the bat, I know for a fact I'm gonna make Hayden here into an illusionist. It's by far my favorite class. Whoops. That's what that button does. For some reason, pushing the PS button on my controller here decided to pull up Steam. Okay. Yeah, right, that makes sense. Now, let's see. 2 white mage, 4 black mage. So now, this is kind of where their abilities and stuff come into play. So essentially, as a rod here, he's going to learn 3 abilities from this thing. Then I just trade him off to an upgraded rod. He'll learn 1 more ability. It'll probably take him like 3-4 things after that. switch him off to a white mage, pop his black mage abilities into his secondary slot, and then essentially he's just going to be an attack healer for a while. And then he gets to be an illusionist, and teach him a few illusionist abilities, max out whatever's available for the staffs there, switch him back to being a healer, go for those abilities. The sheer nonsense you can pull with illusionists is hilarious. Actually, one of the abilities that I hope that they changed is one called Magic Frenzy. Now, if I recall this right, and I may be wrong on this, he might have been using something else, but essentially, if you cast anything whatsoever while having Magic Frenzy, you also attack. And somehow I recall there being a thing where he basically had Magic Frenzy as a passive, somehow had dual... I don't know if he had dual wield or something else. It was one of the Synclure fights, I think the second one. But essentially he would use an illusion ability, which automatically hits everything on the map, and he would go and basically cast and get a melee hit on every single unit on the map, and they start off max level. So there was no hope there. It was just... there was nothing. It was one of those things where the Synclure fights are pretty much just there to say, like, look, here is the completely broken crap, figure out a counter to it. Just like the coolest way they could have introduced boss fights. Anyway, that's just one of many things I love about this game. I know it started off on kind of a negative note, because essentially getting completely wiped by the intro over and over and over. But thankfully, it finally went smoothly, so we'll kind of get going after that. And yeah. I'll go ahead and see you next time. Take care.